So it's time for a new video. I've been watching Simon Sinek's video. There's one on YouTube. It's called Simon Sinek, Why Leaders Eat Last. And it's 45 minutes and 51 seconds if you want to view the one I'm referencing. It is pretty fascinating to me anyway. It's about like the chemicals that are released in our bodies and why they make us do the stuff that we do and all that kind of stuff. So today I'm going to talk about two of those and how I believe that they relate to LuLaRoe. The first one is dopamine, and the way he explains it is dopamine is a chemical that gets released in our body when we find what we're looking for. So biologically, in caveman terms, if you see an apple tree, you get a little hit of dopamine. Once you get closer to the apple tree, you get a little bigger hit of dopamine. Once you get to the apple tree and actually pull an apple off, you get a giant shot of dopamine. In modern times, when you check something off your list that you've done, boom, you get a little shot of dopamine. Dopamine is very useful because it helps us get stuff done. So we feel good. We have that feel-good feeling when we get stuff done. Other things release dopamine. Alcohol releases dopamine. Eating, gambling, and dopamine is, as you might guess by those examples, highly, highly, highly addictive. So that's a problem in a lot of companies where they just incentivize you by hitting your numbers and hitting your numbers and hitting your numbers, because reaching that goal is releasing dopamine. Not that it's bad, dopamine's very useful, but it's highly addictive. And if you become addicted to it, much like any other addiction, I'm a little bit familiar with that, then it can ruin a lot of things in your life because you're willing to give up other things to meet that addiction. So dopamine is useful when it's balanced, but it can become an addiction and it can become a negative thing. So in my mind, something like unicorn hunting falls under a dopamine category because you're searching for it and you're searching for it and you find it. And then you go on to the next unicorn and you search it and you search it and you find it. And you get that dopamine and you feel good and you get that shot. But that can easily become an addiction. So the other chemical that he talks about that I think is really, really important is oxytocin. Oxytocin is one of the chemicals. Mothers get a huge surge of oxytocin when they give birth. It is the chemical that is responsible for the mother-child bond. It is also the chemical that is released during acts of human generosity. Little things like when his example was there was a guy on the street whose backpack flew open, some papers flew out, so he went and picked up, when I say he, I mean Simon Sinek. He picked up the papers, he gave them back to the guy. When he did that, because he did something for someone else with nothing expected on the other end, he got a shot of oxytocin. He felt good. The guy on the receiving end also feels good. He says, thanks, I really appreciate it. There was a guy across the street that witnessed the act of human generosity. He said, hey man, I saw what you did there. That was really cool. That guy gets a shot of oxytocin. This might explain why 12-step meetings work. Because you don't actually even have to be the one doing it to get the shot of oxytocin. I'm pretty sure if you're doing it, your shot of oxytocin is bigger, but it's a good thing to note. So the more you do in terms of these acts of human generosity, the more oxytocin builds up in the body. Oxytocin is not addictive, and the more you do, the more you want to do in terms of being generous and doing things for other people that you don't get paid back for in any way other than the oxytocin and feeling good. So, he says cash doesn't work. You can't just throw money at something and expect to get some oxytocin. It doesn't work like that. What we value is people's time and energy. So if somebody sends you an email at work, instead of replying and they're asking about how you feel about or what you think of their performance or something, instead of replying by email, you go in and you sit down and you talk to them for half an hour instead of shooting a 3-minute email. That kind of thing is valued above money because time is an equal commodity. So being day makers, like LuLaRoe talks about, is building up that oxytocin. So the more we can do of that, the better. Here's the other thing about oxytocin. It inhibits addiction, which means that you can still do a little unicorn hunting. You can still have your dopamine, but it's in balance. Again, dopamine is a good thing when it's in balance. And the oxytocin actually balances that out. It inhibits dopamine addiction and balances it out so that it's something that can still be done, but it doesn't take over your life. So as I'm watching this over and over again and thinking about it and how it relates to LuLaRoe, I've been thinking that I want to be in the oxytocin group. I want to be around those people. I want to be influenced by that. And I want to do that in terms of influencing. As far as numbers and stuff like that go, my numbers for September are much greater than my numbers for August. I expect October to be much greater than September. And things are definitely happening and definitely moving. I am trying not to get addicted to hitting a specific number. But things are going well. Well enough to the point where I feel like I have some knowledge and not expertise, but I have some knowledge to give some people, so that I would be willing to take on two newbies at this point. I don't want to build a giant team right away. That scares the ever-living you-know-what out of me. Like, I can't have 10 girls under me right now. That's insane. But I could do 2 and be able to give them some time and attention that they might need. So that's where I am right now. If you feel like you fall under the oxytocin group and that's a chemical that you want more than you want dopamine, then shoot me an email. I'm at LuLaRoe@gmail.com. My Mama Mia email is still set up because I can't figure out how to forward things. I'm bright, but I'm not that bright apparently. And that's it. If you have any interest in LuLaRoe, if you have any questions about LuLaRoe, if you just want to chat about it, if you just want to get some information about it, that is totally fine. I am here. And send me an email or message me on Facebook. It's easy. It's a pretty incredible company, and it's a pretty amazing thing to be able to do for people, for your daughters, for yourselves, for your families. I like it. So that's how you can contact me, Facebook or email. They should be both under the About tab. in YouTube, and you can find me there. Thanks.